Hello everyone, welcome to GED. Today we are reviewing the brand new Dragonflight Warlock Affliction trees that just came out. And I don't know, I'm not really an Affliction player, spoiler warning. I am primarily a Demonology Warlock, but Affliction has always been kind of like a sub-spec, or a secondary spec if you will, that I like playing around with every now and again. I'm just going to forewarn you again, a second little forewarning. I'm not horribly impressed with what they did with the Affliction tree. It feels a little bit stretched thin, and a lot of stuff just is a straight one-to-one mesh out from Shadowlands into Dragonflight. So let's just go over the talents, and I'm not going to go over the ones that are on the general side. You can kind of get a little preview here of what I've got selected and see how I would do that build. The general trees are really generic. There's nothing really there that's going to alter your build a lot. There's nothing really there that's going to make you uber powerful. Where the real chunk of your power is going to come from is over here on the right in the Affliction tree. So let's just go into this spell by spell, and I'll tell you why I chose what I'm gonna choose here for the time being until these are possibly reworked during the beta/alpha. Okay, so very first ability you have to take is Malefic Rapture. I mean, we all know what Malefic Rapture does. Every time you have a dot on a person or multiple dots, it does some damage. It's basically your soul shard spender. So you have to take it, and it's just there. Then, for some reason, you have to take Unstable Affliction. I don't know why Blizzard did this. Unstable Affliction is literally the key ability for Affliction Warlocks. So, forcing it into a skill point choice, what is the point there? I actually took Seed of Corruption because Affliction has always been plagued with like a really horrible AoE rotation or AoE damage. So Seed of Corruption is pretty much one of your only AoE abilities in the game. I mean, that's kind of sad. There's a couple other minor ones, but Seed of Corruption is basically a must-have. So these three talents right here are all basically must-have choices. Third row, Nightfall. Corruption has a chance to cause your next Shadow Bolt or Drain Soul to deal 25% increased damage, and Shadow Bolt is instacast. So Nightfall has always been a really good talent for Affliction, and it's a very valid pickup. Nightfall is just good, extra damage. Xavian Teachings. Corruption is instant cast, instantly deals a little bit of damage. Okay, why? Why is a talent needed to make Corruption instacast? Corruption has always been instacast for Affliction Warlocks. To take it as a talent, I don't know. It just feels like everything so far is just necessary evils. Sow the Seed. Seed of Corruption now embeds demon seeds into enemies nearby. Again, it's your only AoE ability. You have to take this. Pretty much. That's what, like 6 talent points that are pretty much required. Inevitable Demise. Damaging an enemy with agony increases the damage of your next drain life by 7%. This stacks 50 times. Okay, people might harp on me like this is a really strong, super damaging ability. Just for now, though, I couldn't really squeeze it into this build, and you'll see why as we go further and further down the tree, because basically this one point here gets placed further down the tree. Alright, Pandemic Invocation. Refreshing Corruption, Agony, or Siphon Life with less than 5 seconds will deal some damage and has a chance to grant you some soul shards. This is actually really good. If you time and keep track with weak auras or timers for all your abilities and refresh them in a perfect rotation, it rewards you. That's a good thing. Rewarding rotations in a perfect manner is a good thing. Pandemic Evocation gets a 10 out of 10 in my book. Writhen Agony. Agony starts at 4 stacks and ramps up to 18 stacks. Agony is, and has been, one of the primary damaging abilities for an Affliction Warlock for quite a long time. Corruption has traditionally been very weak whereas Unstable Affliction and Agony do the workhorse of the damage, so higher stacks and quicker stacks, always a bonus. Agonizing Corruption. Seed of Corruption's explosion increase agony stacks by 1 on all targets. Why? Why does this exist? Because if you're Seed of Corruptioning in the beginning of an AoE pull, you're not going to have time to agonize most things. Agony is going to tick up by itself slowly, and yeah, it's okay. I mean, it helps out a little bit, but in AoE pulls, Agony basically has time to do its thing anyways, so 50-50 choice. Drained Soul. I've always loved Drained Soul, both aesthetically and mechanically, because it's like a channeled Shadow Bolt. I really hate being stuck in one place channeling Shadow Bolts, whereas Drained Soul feels like you can press it and it feels like you're constantly doing that crazy amount of damage, plus it has that execute effect at 20% health. So yeah, Drained Soul's a good selection in my book. Absolute Corruption. Corruption's permanent, deals 15% extra damage. So yeah, we'll have to see how they balance Corruption in Dragonflight. This may or may not be a valid talent, because if Corruption does piddle damage and you increase it by 15%, you might as well go back up here and get inevitable demise, because it's not going to help you out that much. Interchangeable, I guess, depending on the situation. Phantom Singularity. I've always loved Phantom Singularity as a talent, and I've always wondered why it has to be a talent, because it's literally the only other spell that Affliction Warlocks have for AoE, and with a high cooldown on it, if you put it on the wrong thing and it dies, you lose out on it anyways. But yeah, I've always loved Phantom Singularity just in general. This one does have Vile Taint as well in there, but a Vile Taint has never impressed me, so Phantom Singularity. Okay, down to the next row, quite big row. Soul Swap applies Agony, Corruption, Unstable Affliction to your target in 1 instant cast Soul Shard. Yes, please. Soul Swap, you are amazing. It's just like, boom, there it is. You got all your dots on a creature. And it's only a 30-second cooldown, which is, impressive. Soul Flame. When you kill a target, its soul bursts into flame, dealing 20% of spell power. Technically, it could be considered an AoE talent, but if it does such pitiful, meager amounts of damage that it doesn't even matter, then you might as well just skip it. Grimoire of Sacrifice. Sacrifice your demon for its power, gaining Command Demon, and your spells sometimes deal damage. I've always wondered, like, is it really worth it to sacrifice your pet? Why not just have your pet out, mashing on whatever you're attacking, and not waste a talent point? Yeah, maybe it's quicker, maybe it's more, I don't know, ease of use, but just summon a pet. Don't bother wasting a talent point here. Shadow Embrace. Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul apply Shadow Embrace, increasing your damage to the target by 1.5%, stacking 3 times. So every time you Shadow Bolt, or if you Drain Soul long enough, you get a, what is that, like a 4.5% damage boost to your damage, which, you take it where you can get it. Soul Tap. Sacrifice 5% of your Soul Leech to gain a Soul Shard. Skip. Harvester of Souls. Each time Corruption deals damage, it has a 7% chance to deal some spell power shadow damage and heal you for the damage dealt. This talent potentially has the ability to make Corruption kind of keep pace with Agony or Unstable Affliction. Again, all depending on how Blizzard balances those 3 abilities in terms of damage for each one. Withering Bolt. Shadow Bolt, Drain Soul, deal 7% increased damage per effect over time you have on the target. So the more dots you got on a target, the more bigger your Drain Souls are going to be, or your Shadow Bolts if you choose to take them. Pretty good. 7% per effect. So you're getting at least 21%, if not more, depending on how much you can keep rotating in and out. Sacrilash Dark Strike. Corruption damage is increased by 7%, and each time it deals damage, any of your curses are extended. So I don't know if you want to like have a permanent movement speed curse on someone, maybe you can do that, or permanent cast time reduction or attack speed reduction. You know, good for you. But 7% damage on an already weak corruption will not fly if they don't balance it right. All right, now we get down to the 20 required row, which is definitely your buku spells here, and Affliction Warlocks are actually kind of torn. They have a lot of good choices here, and I had to kind of think about it for a long time, and then I finally went with these. So first off, let's go with the one I didn't take. Death Bolt launches a bolt of death at the target, accumulating 50% of the remaining damage from your spells on the target and dealing it over 3 seconds. Death Bolt has always been an amazingly strong single target ability, and casting it in PvE, oh my gosh, you are gonna melt a single target. but I just couldn't bring myself to take it. I was so strapped on points. I love Death Bolt, but I just couldn't do it. Malefic Wrath ties into it. Malefic Rapture increases the damage of your Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul for 20%, stacking 3 times. So if you Malefic Rapture 3 times and you Drain Soul, oh man, with your dots up and you got the Withering Bolt, you are going to be doing some major damage on Drain Souls. Like, wow. Death Dealer. Spending a Soul Shard has a 5% chance to make your Death Bolt no cast and instant cast, or no cost and instant cast. So every time you spend a Soul Shard, you have the potential to just boom, throw out a Death Bolt. That's why this was such a pain to lose this. It's a lot of single target AoE, or single target damage. The last one, Pact of the Nether Regime. Death Bolt extends your damage over time effects on the target by 4 seconds. Yeah, Death Bolt can be a crazy good PvP, PvE, raid talent on single targets. Yeah, just amazing. But in its stead, I chose the Soul Rot. Yes, the Soul Rot. So from Shadowlands, right, we get this lovely little AoE dot because, again, Affliction just has such a hard time with AoE. This spell has been their kind of creme de la creme AoE talent because you get those massive amounts of haste, you get those massive amounts of damage with your drain lives and all that stuff. Again, synergizing with Inevitable Demise, which I don't have. I know you can harp on me for it, but anyways, next one, Decaying Soul Satchel. Each target affected by Soul Rot increases your haste and critical strike, so you're getting that passive haste, you know, X amount of haste and crit just for casting this. Creeping Death. Your Agony, Corruption, Siphon Life, and Unstable Affliction deal their full damage 15% faster. Most people don't like Creeping Death because it kind of clips into your rotation or causes issues, but for me, the extra 15% damage is basically a haste, basically a 15% haste, and it's always shown that it is actually a really good talent. It just imposes a lot of juggling with your dots. It makes it harder to keep dots on the target and use your abilities. You just gotta learn the rotation a little bit faster, right? We did not take Deliberate Malice. Malefic Rapture's damage is increased by 12%, and each cast extends the duration of your dots. So this is just a Malefic Rapture boost, making your Malefic Raptures even more sweeter. Calamitous Crescendo, while Agony, Corruption, and Unstable Affliction are active, your Shadow Bolt and Drain Soul have a 20% chance to make your Malefic Rapture cost no soul shards and cast instantly. This is also an amazing talent, like so amazing, because if you're using your drain, your soul, and you get free Malefic Raptures in between, oh god, it's so good. I don't know, might require a little bit of adjustment here. Haunt. a ghostly soul haunts the target, dealing shadow damage and increasing damage by 10%. So it's a flat 10% damage boost with haunt. Again, if this creeping death causes issues in your rotation, just drop haunt and go down the Malefic Rapture route because it's so good. Seized Vitality pairs into it. Haunt deals 20% additional damage, and when it ends or dispels, the soul returns to you, healing you. Okay, yeah, so in raid situations, in PvE, even in PvP, once your haunt expires, it just goes back to you and heals you. Very nice. And then Haunted Soul. Your haunt also increases the damage of your damage over time effects on all targets by 20% while active. So yeah, that's a huge damage boost, 20% on everything. That's not something to scoff at. Middle talent here, Wrath of Consumption, Corruption and Agony each grant an application of Wrath of Consumption when a target dies, increasing all periodic damage by 3% for 30 seconds, stacking 5 times. Not good. I mean, the target has to die to get like, what, maybe 15% extra damage for 30 seconds? Possibly okay in a dungeon run, but man, it's going to drop so many times, and it's just going to be like kind of a wasted talent if you're not constantly fighting, if you're not constantly pushing forward. Yeah, I wouldn't go with Wrath of Consumption. Summon Dark Glare, our good old buddy, the one-eyed beast from the nether. He just basically spawns and does zaps of damage, and it increases how many, based on how many dots you have on the target. Yeah, it's same as Shadowlands. Antoran Plating, Dark Glare increases its damage by an additional 3% for each damage over time effect active, and he lasts longer. So we kind of ran out of points at the end. We kind of started to peter out. I would almost suggest not taking the Dark Glare talents, or at least taking this one out and trying to go into Malefic Rapture Tree, trying to figure out some points. But Dark Glare, he's a good damage boost. He does a lot of damage, a lot of burst damage. And then the final one we couldn't quite get to, just for every soul shard you spend, reduce your cooldown on Dark Glare. I think this tree, more so than other trees, kind of gives me the sense that it needs some serious shuffling. It feels like too much is necessary and not enough is new and exciting. Yes, we have like the Deathbolt talents and the Malefic Rapture talents, but everything else it's the core of what a warlock, or what an Affliction Warlock has been for a long time. There's nothing new here. It's not an exciting tree. Compared to I'm just gonna say my favorite spec, Demonology. Compared to Demonology, it has a lot of work to do to make it feel more unique, to make it feel more exciting in the new expansion, because here we're just getting the basics. Pretty much it's cut and dry. Let me know what you think about Affliction Warlock, and if it's your main, are you happy with this, or do you want to see something more impressive, more new from Blizzard? Let me know. Thanks guys, bye.